Okay, we're ready. Okay, well, good afternoon and welcome. It is great to see everybody back. I like the idea that everybody obviously was fond enough of VORCAB that they wanted to continue. So I think that's a real big step so far as VORCAB is concerned. So anyway, it's my pleasure to call this meeting to order. It is the Bay Oaks Recreational Campus Advisory Board, commonly known as VORCAB. We are in the Town Hall Council Chambers on Oak Street, and it is Wednesday, November 20th, 2024, at 12 noon. And this meeting is now called to order. And would you all please rise for the pledge to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And let's just go around the room for our roll call. Ed, let's start with you.
Ed Schoonover?
Becky Guidry.
Barbara Hill.
Betty Simpson.
John Dislear.
Joy Sullivan.
Karen Woodson.
Jeff Hauge.
Okay.
Jesse, I don't know when we want to address that.
We have only one absence, and that is Jesse. And it is with regret that he has sent us a letter saying that it is his decision to step down from his position here on Bay Oaks due to the demands of his new career path. So I'm sure we wish him all the best, and I would ask for a motion to accept his resignation.
I so
Barbara
moved.
Hill, I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, Ed.
Okay. Barbara motion and Ed second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And it is with regret that we have to accept this.
Yeah, then going forward, now we'll be accepting new applications, and then the council will decide on the new member. So anybody that's watching, or we'll be putting it out on social media and things, if anybody's interested in applying for the open spot, they can certainly do that through the town clerk's office.
What do we do? Give like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or what is that time frame?
That I don't.
I think it was 3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks?
Yeah, so we'll be accepting them. I mean, let's just say for 2 weeks for sure, but it may be longer. We'll put that out on social media.
Okay.
As to when it is, but good question.
Jeff, just a question for the town, I guess. There were a couple of more people applied than there were spots. Can't the town just use the
That
existing
we were
apps?
just talking about that. I think they
Okay.
do still need to reapply because
They have to reapply.
that has been,
Okay.
that's kind of ended with all the
I got
voting
it.
and everything, so.
Yep.
Yes, we would encourage them to apply if they,
Okay.
if they really,
Thank you.
It could be somebody new has a change and they
Correct.
might want to apply this time.
be somebody that hasn't done it before.
Minor point, but on the list of roll call, you've got, it's a copy paste here, I'm sure. Bruce Butcher.
Oh,
And your
Bruce
first
Butcher.
name is actually gone, Joy.
Oh.
Yeah, Joy's not, Joy's
Okay,
not
sorry
about
there. Bruce Butcher is off, and
Yeah,
now.
I'm on the end of,
Yeah, Ed's name's not on here.
yeah,
Okay. we get
it's a
some-
copy paste problem.
Yeah, when I pulled it up, I did it on my phone and I didn't have it.
Okay,
Anyway, no excuses.
all right.
I just want to
Have
go
us
on the
corrected
record
now.
really quick and say a big
Yeah.
thank you to Jesse for
And so- and
not
that's
just
your
his time,
turn.
but everything
Oh,
he
that's the
did,
Bruce Butcher.
especially
I
with
just picked
the
this
with
one
the
up for
baseball
us from outside.
time
Yeah.
and all
We
the
don't have
all the
it.
funding that happened, and that was a major project when everybody's life was
Right.
upside
You bet.
down.
And setting up the Friends
Yeah, and-
organization again,
Opening
which
the
we have
bank
to
account.
get
Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
going.
He really did a lot for us.
Good.
Thank you to him.
Well, we appreciate what he did and tried to do with the Friends, because that was a,
Yeah.
that was a little different. Because on some of the other Friends, it didn't take that long for them to kind of get acclimated. But I think that it was part of an education
Yeah.
process.
Definitely an
So-
education.
Is that
That's-
something we can discuss during member items?
Yeah, I do wanna discuss it,
Okay.
at some point.
Because I
but-
have something about, yeah,
Sure.
so,
Mhm.
Becky, you can bring it up then on yours.
okay.
Okay. All right, now we'll come to item 4, the reorganization of our committee. And there's an opportunity to have a new chairman, vice chairman, so the floor is now open at this time.
I'll nominate Betty for chair, if you wouldn't mind serving again.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Second.
I don't even think those have
We
to be
don't- we need to
second,
do
do they?
that.
We can just,
No, they don't need a second.
yeah,
Okay,
we can just
okay.
talk and vote.
All right. And for advice, I would love it if Barbara would keep
Yes.
keeping on for us.
Yeah,
Well, thank you, and if anyone is interested in serving as vice chair, I'm happy to give up my position, so.
Nobody else is in agreement to that, so,
Yeah.
it's very,
No, I
very
can't
noble
text
of
it,
you.
no, my hands.
I think that's how it went last time too.
All right, thank you all.
okay. Well, let's move on then to the approval of the minutes.
Do we have to
You have to
vote?
vote
Oh,
for
oops,
nomination.
excuse me. All right. All in favor of Betty continuing as the chairman, indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. The same for our vice chairman, Barbara. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Okay, I believe those are both unanimous
I'm sure you have these printed out.
votes. So thank you very much for the vote of confidence. Appreciate it. Okay.
Those are just a copy of the minutes.
Pardon?
Thank you, yeah.
There's a copy of the minutes.
Oh, okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have you all had a chance to be able to take a look at the minutes from September 18th?
I did.
Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll motion to approve them, Becky Guidry.
Becky?
Second.
Okay. And
Oh, I
second?
have two, so this is an extra.
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
If not, all in favor of the minutes as indicated, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. We're moving right along. Thank you. Okay, public comment.
Little empty out there.
Yep,
Must be
it
the
is
rain.
empty. It's nice when somebody is here. Okay, that means we have our staff liaison report.
True.
Okay, Jeff.
So I believe, I think I sent these all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys can all read them. Not a whole lot going on right now, and I'll explain that in a little bit, but a couple things I did wanna point out was that Club Rec is still, using the Fort Myers Beach Library, and it's been going so awesome. They've been a great partner for us, and will continue to be. So that's great. We have about 25 kids that are coming for that, which is probably more than I was thinking. We now have a rec center, and they get bused here and all
Well,
that.
they're not at the
so-
school. I think that's a huge, like, personally, the kids that we know that aren't coming right now is just logistics.
Yeah,
Because they're at
exactly.
St. Carlos Park, you
Yeah,
know?
and I think 25 is a great number.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to do that. We have some fun days coming up for the holidays. We'll be going to a movie, some other field trips. So,
Good.
I wanna go to a movie.
gonna volunteer to go to a movie.
Yeah, what kind of movie are you
I
gonna go see?
think they're gonna go maybe see Wicked.
Oh, that's actually a good movie.
So I think. I'm
As
pretty sure.
opposed to the
Anyway,
garbage they might see.
if you've not signed up, to go and you want kids, you want your kids to sign up for fun days, please do so. As we're trying to plan for those days. As of right now, our senior trips are suspended. We're trying to work that out, and the reason is, and I'll go over it a little more in detail, but Danielle DeBona resigned.
I wonder
Oh,
why
I
I
did not
didn't
know
hear
that.
from
I'm
her.
sorry to hear that.
What
So-
happened?
When was that?
Danielle resigned a couple weeks ago, maybe.
Oh, I didn't know.
So maybe 2 weeks ago. Less.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
sent her an
couple-
email and I not, didn't.
Yeah, so-
yeah.
She found somewhere closer. I don't need to get into her personal stuff, but yeah, she had her reasons. Most of it was, personal with the travel and all that. So, so that's a loss that we're gonna have to try to make up for. And she was doing all the senior trips as well. So, as of right now, hopefully we can get a staff on board that will run those and do those off campus field trips as well. But we're working on that.
Has anybody applied yet? Just curious. I didn't even know she.
We haven't
resigned.
posted it yet.
Okay, so I was gonna say I haven't seen anything posted.
No, and I guess I can just talk about that now. Would be just the staffing. So we have most of our staff that are on are just doing the after-school program. The rec center, which I'll talk about next, is completely gutted, so we don't have any activities going on there. So yeah, we're waiting to see in that position what we want to do. I mean, we got to see how long it's going to take for the rec center to be rebuilt, and obviously not having the pool. There's a void that we could probably take our time and get the right person. But I think there's a couple on staff that are willing to do the senior trips. We just have to get reorganized and ready to go. So Danielle did leave us in a good spot, obviously, with securing some trips in the upcoming months. So we'll hopefully roll with those. Other staffing, we're not really hiring right now, besides that position potentially. We have a lot going on, but we don't have a lot of programming going on, if that makes sense. Helene and Milton really, again, took a toll on the rec center, which I'll just jump to now.
Are there any other staffing changes?
No.
Okay, so Shanette is still,
Yeah, Shanette actually is helping out in permitting right now, but she is still our staff.
okay.
So we had some losses in permitting as well, so she's really good at that too.
I know.
So I think she's made it clear that she doesn't want to spend all of her time there. She'd rather be with the kids and recreation, of course. So she is still one of our staff, just helping out. in
Okay,
permitting.
cool.
Good.
So after Ian, were the floors replaced in the gym?
No.
No,
I didn't
they
think
weren't.
so because I saw they were torn
They
up this
made
time,
it.
and I was like, how is it worse? Or is it just after multiple times?
Yeah, it just got too much. It was starting to kind of bubble. Just that many floods over and over. I mean, you see that kind of town-wide. You're seeing a lot more washouts on
Yeah.
sidewalks and roads just because of the repeated, it didn't have a time to settle. So everything is, like I said, gutted. We took out the gym floor, well, both gym floors, because they laid the gym floor right on top of the gym floor last time, causing numerous dead spots in
Yes.
pickleball. So we will not be putting 2 floors in. But yeah, everything got taken out this time. Insurance came right away and assessed it and took it out this time, which they, in my opinion, they should have done it the first time. But we definitely upped our insurance, and they're paying for a lot more. So I mean, when you walk in there, it's bare concrete everywhere. The partitions in the bathrooms are gone. They took out the fixtures, the toilets, the sinks, everything this time. They just gutted it.
Wow.
Everything is gone. They kept the the porcelain, obviously part of it, but everything else will be replaced. The equipment was already starting to rust a little, just from being in there. So we're going to be getting new equipment again.
Oh, my God. Well,
I have
What about like
we've
all your
all been
folding
through that.
chairs and
We
all?
all
Yes,
going through
yep.
that.
It's like
You bet.
appliances, everything
All
else.
appliances had stuff in them.
So what happens
I'm
from
talking-
here? Because like all of us, it's gonna
Yes.
happen again. Like that. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it just keeps happening. It happens so often this season. What happens if it happened again?
Yeah, I mean,
you
we
know?
can try to get somebody in to move. We aren't able to move the equipment. It's just,
Right.
I mean, our staff aren't. It is a lot to it when it comes to moving weight room equipment and doing it the proper way. But I guess next time we'll just hire a company and have them take it out. I mean,
We know we're learning more every single time.
exactly. So
Unfortunately.
there's some other things within that we're kind of talking about, and that's one thing is in my items for discussion is, well, that's the redevelopment, but we've been trying to think of everything that we can not have this. I mean, the flooding's going to happen. We know that. We're going to get water in there, whether it's 1 inch or 3 feet.
Is
So
it-
we're
sorry.
talking about raising half of the gym up about 8 feet,
Oh,
where the basketball court would be.
The gym itself.
The gym floor itself, well, yeah, the basketball court would be raised 7 or 8 feet. We're working with an architect just to see what that may even look like. We just wanted to get the ball rolling because we want people to be able to use it. So we do that to hopefully mitigate, having to redo a gym floor. And then on the bottom part, under the gym floor, we could have either meeting spaces or extra places for workouts or classes. And then the rest of it would be, we're kind of going between a couple materials that we can discuss, obviously. One would just be an epoxy. They make some epoxies for flooring that would be pretty resistant or resilient. The other thing is we just put pickleball court surface indoors. I mean
They are popular.
yeah, I mean
Does it work for basketball?
we'd only have one basketball court.
That's the elevated one.
Mhm.
Okay. So it would just be pickleball.
Well, pickleball maybe, volleyball could be done on the basketball court. So we're trying to think of ways where we don't have to keep doing this.
Right.
Is it coming in or up? Do you know where all of it?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if you're sealing it from the outside; it's still coming up because that's what's happening in our neighborhood too. It's coming up from the
Yeah.
sewers and the floors.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's not
it's-
just coming in.
Just
Yeah,
for the
we found
ground.
that a lot of
The ground being so wet.
That's right.
and there's cracks, not big cracks in the foundation.
Right.
Don't get me wrong; it's not structurally unsafe, but
It's a
there's
foundation.
cracks that it comes up. It definitely does, and it's not a flood-proof, dry-proof facility. We tried to get that through a couple avenues, but we would have to use it. It doesn't qualify for a day after shelter, like a lot of rec centers do, just because of the flood zone it's in. So they won't pay for that mitigation to do that. So we've tried to, get every avenue possible, flood-proof doors at least, but it's still coming in from other places.
That's what I feel like
So-
everybody that's ground level has been just in their homes. It's like, okay, you fix it this time, then you fix it again, and then at this point you're like, okay, now something has to change.
Yeah.
And so like what changes? Because it just keeps happening.
And actually, the roof held up really well. We found maybe three or four more leaks, just little ones that the screw head popped off, and there was just a little bit of moisture, but it was pretty good throughout the rain. So the last time we did that, it was good. They did a good job of it. So really, those are just things we've been exploring, but we're obviously open for other ideas. We will have, insurance hasn't gotten back to us on what the cost to put things back. They're even doing a regular gym floor, they're doing epoxy, so they're doing all of it for us to kind of give us a cost estimate of what that might look like. And then, insurance will pay for the gym equipment and all that, so it's just unfortunate we have to do it again. So, I mean, do we,
Groundhog Day.
we've been thinking about everything. Do we have a pulley system that we can pull up all the equipment so it's off the ground a couple feet? We're always open for suggestions.
So even the bleachers were damaged, or are they just
they
washing
weren't
up?
damaged. We just pressure washed them off.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were able to keep some of your stuff.
Yeah, we ended up we did take some stuff off island, like the office things, but all the desks and everything were wrecked again. And
Oh,
When some things work until they don't. We had stuff after Ian, we're like, oh, this
You
could be
don't know
saved,
when
and now
it's
2 years
finished.
later, we're like, well, that's garbage,
Yeah.
because it just, after time,
yeah,
Yeah.
but they
Just-
we had to save everything contents wise until the adjuster could come down and look at contents, and he's like, no, that's no.
It's not worth
so,
saving.
Well, I talked
Saltwater
to
is so
Sue
brutal.
yeah.
about the spin bikes.
Yeah.
She said she got them off, but she's not sure if they're gonna work because of the salt water.
I know of some new surfacing that some of the military bases are putting in because they can handle all of the ball sports without affecting bounce or anything like that, or grip. And they also can handle the wheelchair rugby, wheelchair basketball, those sorts of things. So I'll get info to you.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
really cool
And
surface.
and John, we've
That's
talked
awesome.
about that recently about getting those all-inclusive sports, and
Oh yeah.
that'd be great.
Well, it's an opportunity to put the right gym flow down.
Right, exactly.
Whether
Yeah.
it's raised, lowered,
You know,
whatever it
and to
is.
that-
Especially since insurance.
These
is
are
paying for it.
opportunities as
We
much as they're
found that,
terrible.
even having with having the Special Olympics in there, we have a lot of avenues that we haven't
Yeah.
pursued or have pursued us, so we wanna make it as
Yeah.
accessible as we can.
Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, what is your timeline are you thinking? I mean, I'm just trying to get a ballpark.
Me as well. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, if this raising the floor thing even is feasible, I mean, that'll add obviously some time onto it. If it's not, we just go with an epoxy floor, something like that. You know, it'd probably be quicker, but
Right,
we'll
okay.
have to kind of
Just
see how that goes.
curious.
It's such a bummer heading into season and then having no workout classes again and
awful.
all that kind of
Right.
stuff. If there was some other place that we could rent, you know. Just talk to Margaritaville, see if we can rent their gym.
Didn't
I mean,
they
we could
offer to
technically-
help at
we
some
have-
point?
Nobody's
I
in
mean, we
there.
can
Yeah,
technically
yeah.
put
Why
fitness
not?
equipment in there. I mean, the structure it's just bare. We just have to get toilets back. Obviously, we have
Right.
power, we have water.
But then if they're gonna raise it and everything, then then it'd be kicked out again, kinda.
Yeah, we wouldn't raise the fitness equipment
Okay,
though.
okay.
So it's a possibility. I mean, they had to take out the package handlers that we just got 6 or 7 months ago. That's the big AC units, HVAC units. So those got water in them. So they pulled those out already and are reordering those. So we have a temporary solution for AC that would work. It's just we just rented one.
They're gonna go higher this time.
Yes, all of that's getting raised higher. Yes, it was in the mitigation for in the works. I mean, all these
Right.
FEMA things
Yeah,
take so
no, I
much
get it.
time that one of those was raising those up and getting generators up.
Ours is up 18 feet.
Cause you don't know what's high
That's great.
enough.
Yeah.
I know,
No idea what's
So-
high enough.
I know.
So a lot of question marks on the rec center. We're going to put it back. We want to do it as quick as we can. We want to be fiscally, respectful of all the taxpayer money, but we also want to make it resilient so we don't waste taxpayer money and having to redo it and redo it and redo it.
How's the ball field?
Ball field is getting there. There's a few spots that need to come back, but overall, I mean, softball's playing on it 2 days a week.
Yeah, I saw.
And I think Little League reached out and they wanted to have a couple of their kids come down and play a little bit, and said, yeah, it's open. The hours have changed a little just with the daylight savings. You know, we're not out up till 7 anymore. It's like 5:30, 6 o'clock, but it's always open for people to play on. There's been random people coming down just using the pitching mound and, you know, hitting the ball just for fun. Some families they use the field, so it's getting used, but not as much as we like, of course. But
So it's big enough for the guys to play. The adult softball league was out there, right? Cause
Yeah,
that was the
that's-
concern
yeah,
we were
they
talking
used that
about
last year, too.
2 months ago.
Yeah, they played last year. It was good. What we're gonna do is with the fire department building out there too, we're gonna build a taller, almost like the backstop out here. We're gonna put netting, because they do hit it out, and I think they really enjoy hitting it out of the park.
Right.
And so we're just gonna put some netting up high, and do it that way, and then that'll come to my next one, the redevelopment. But yeah, hopefully it all comes back. I don't want to have to resod it or at that point maybe turf. I don't even know. Like this is how many times we had to redo it twice, and you know it just. They
It's
don't, and
frustrating.
FEMA doesn't reimburse for landscaping, and they consider that
They
landscaping.
don't reimburse for anything.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but they definitely don't for landscaping. So we can't even when we had to order more sod, we couldn't even code that to anybody else to get reimbursed. So, and it's right by the back bay. I mean,
Right.
we can try to mitigate that. I mean, in hindsight, we raised it 3 feet. We should have probably raised it another. I don't know. I don't know how high you can go.
Right.
But
Then all the runoff would come in the
right.
other areas
Then the
too,
runoff goes
so-
somewhere else with drainage.
Right.
I know it's just one of those things. Everyone's been fighting that too, and it's even like the roads. You could raise the roads up, but then all the rainwater is going to go off into people's
Right.
houses. So you know that's a different department of mine. But
Well, and even in Helene and Milton, I mean, I know at our house, it was just one solid piece of water from the Gulf to,
Oh yeah,
The
it meets
bay.
the middle.
Right.
yeah,
From the
I mean, it
road.
was like, there was
Right.
no break. It was
Yeah.
all theirs. There was no buildings to stop, no nothing, so.
so hopefully, I mean, if it comes back, the ball field comes back this time, I have a lot of confidence in that field. We did have JSM, a company that we contract with that comes on a monthly basis. They came down and you know did some eco-friendly fertilizing and that kind of thing. So hopefully it'll come back soon. But I see it every day and I'm like, it's not green yet, it's not green yet.
Oh, boy.
But I know it takes time, I know it takes a lot of time, so.
I talked to some of the guys going out to play softball yesterday. They're not affected by the shade of green.
No, they don't.
They
have
are
that.
so, it was Field of Dreams excitement that they have a place.
Yeah,
so
they like
it's
it.
pretty
and
great.
Like I said,
Yeah.
and honestly,
You bet.
I'm not. This has nothing to do with ability or whatever, but
Yeah.
you know, for some of those guys, I mean,
They
if
can
I'm
hit-
playing ball at
They
that
can
age,
hit
I'd be
home runs
happy.
now.
You know,
Yeah.
and the bases are a little shorter. You know, all that. The throws are a little shorter, so I think they actually enjoy that.
Yeah. Oh, don't have to run or throw as far? Okay.
It's great.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
So, that's kind of what's going on, and then, just an update, I guess, on the pool. We got that CDBGR money. I was under the understanding we were gonna get it quicker, but it's looking like maybe January we might get allocated the money and actually get it. And then we can start kind of the process, so I don't have too many updates with that. We kinda have what it can have, but there's also room for expansion as far as the facility. You know, we can come into the parking lot a little. The actual footprint of the pool right now has to stay the same, but we could extend it and put more of a kid-friendly splash pad or something in. You know, we can vacate the parking over by the ball field. We could do a lot of things, with the 4.5 million that we got to redo that one. So yeah, a lot of improvements that we'll be talking about a little later, and when we have some kind of a conceptual design, we'll bring that here, but we're always open for suggestions about usage and what you'd like to see as far as amenities. And
Are
we
they
have
gonna redo the, changing rooms and all that kind of stuff too?
Yep, all
and
that.
All that's gonna be
all that's
changed?
gonna be changed, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the thought for us is maybe, you know, knocking what the structure we have down and moving it out a little bit. You know, we'd lose maybe 6 parking spaces, but we're gonna have new parking here for the redevelopment, so. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity, and I can truly say I haven't seen a design for the pool. I don't know if there is one. I don't think there is one. But, we have kind of the parameters of what we're gonna work with. I know we want it obviously better. We also, we want that lap swimming in there for our residents. Lap swimming and have a pool in there that's gonna do water aerobics and, those kind of things. So, we'll be putting that back for sure. So I would say, you know, construction at some point maybe, I don't even know, when bids go out, I would guess maybe May or June. That's very conservative, but, what do you think, John?
Well, with pools, I'd say that's aggressive, so we should be really careful to set
Yeah,
expectations.
right,
I mean, if dollars are getting activated in January, then you're probably not gonna see drawings or accepted drawings till March-ish.
yeah,
And
you're right,
then-
that was pretty,
And then it's gonna have to get, I just pointed to the council.
yeah,
It's gonna have to go through all those processes, so, you know, if we're making a polar bear plunge on January 1st of
that'd be, yeah.
a year, I'm not even gonna say, it's gonna be exciting, so
Yeah,
it's a matter of being patient.
I guess the point is, it's moving forward. We finally got money to do it, and we have to stay within those parameters, but we have wiggle room too. Their main thing was the pool footage, and we'll keep that.
Yeah.
And then there's
Good.
possible opportunities later.
Yeah, and the way the money works, the facility is built, sits there that way for a long time,
25 years.
25 years, so
You bet.
rather than rush, let's,
Yep.
Do
you
it
know,
right.
take the time to do it right,
And the more
So-
visuals they can provide, the better.
yeah.
So we can actually, instead of just blueprint drawings and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
So who is responsible for redesigning the pool area?
That'll be up to a architect or a
Well,
pool developer.
right, and so does WorkHab have input prior to it going to an architectural firm?
Yeah, we
So-
can, we can.
Just
we can
concept stuff.
Yeah, concept stuff,
Yeah.
whatever you'd maybe like to see, what worked, what you'd like to see better, what you wanna see bigger.
So is that part of the conversation for the redevelopment of Bay Oaks, or is that a separate
No,
conversation?
that'll be separate,
Okay,
yep.
oh, it'll be separate.
Oh.
The redevelopment meaning the redevelopment plan we're pushing forward with.
Which is
The
not
multipurpose
including the
field.
pools, that's a
that's-
totally separate
Correct.
funding issue,
Yep.
okay. So I guess that, you know, if that money is allocated in January of 2005, which is 6 weeks from now or less, and we could really get that going to build beginning late June, why would we not have that conversation today with the pool design?
We
In
certainly
terms
can.
of, concepts, in terms of what it is now that has to be more resilient to the storms compared to what it was when we were having this conversation 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, we certainly can. I'm not opposed to that.
And we had public meetings too, when we were
Right.
doing that building and
So,
everything too,
may I
so.
suggest that be put on next month's agenda, that we actually have an actual site plan and knowing where the existing pool is and looking at what kind of opportunities exist.
Sure.
Given that, and what did you say, 4.8 million for the pool?
Yeah, around 4.5.
4.5, okay, so, I guess that has to, you have to factor in the architectural fee and the planners, I'm sure, and the engineers, and so we're talking about a whole CIP project, and then obviously coming to terms with what that budget will allow us to do, but if we begin the conversation next
Yeah.
month, I would really like to see that happen.
Yeah, and really this came about in the last couple months. I mean, I think I announced it last meeting, and then we haven't had a meeting since. So yeah, that's a good idea to
Right.
to do that.
So do we have to go to bid and do like the 3 bids and everything again?
We have to go out for bid. Yes.
Go out for bid?
Yeah, and this one, the CBDGR is very strict and they want to know everything ahead of time. I mean, when we get it, like they have to approve the contract as well. We don't just do it; it has to go to them for approval. Every move we make has to go for approval. You know, they've had their environmental reviewers out here already at the pool and doing that part of it. So it's a process with this. It's a lot of work. And I think Jason's taking that over, but no, I mean, it's almost enough work where you could probably hire one person for the CBDGR grant, cause there's a lot involved with it, so. But yes, we'll put it on the next month's agenda.
Thank you.
That'd be good.
If there's any possibility, my mind's going a million miles an hour right now. Just if we got a PDF with the site as is and like buildable borders.
Sure.
You know, like obviously the 25-yard pool has to just be replaced. Does the splash pad have to be replaced as is?
That one I
Or is
gotta
that a
find
little
out
gray?
if that's,
Yeah, because then we could all individually and with whoever kind of go to town before we
Yeah.
come to that meeting.
The building can
Alright.
kind of expand though too, right? The actual-
everything,
Yeah, 'cause
everything else can be expanded. We can expand the deck out.
can be scraped and put where it
Yeah,
works.
I mean,
in a
we
new
could have
Yeah.
facility.
It's
we
just
could have a
the
whole thing
pool.
looking over the
Yeah.
ball field if we wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not limited.
But at a minimum, that tank has to be where it is.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And then CBDGR will review that for, basically it's theirs for like 25 years.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that every building be elevated to FEMA standards.
Whatever, yeah,
Every,
whatever. it
every,
is, yeah.
every building
Yeah.
related to the pool area.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to go with whatever code says too, so.
Right.
it's,
Can we elevate the pool? I mean, even if we keep it in the same footprint, can we elevate the pool?
Oh, great question.
Pool can get a little
Why
deeper
not?
and
So there's some
I mean, if
houses, I know there's
Yeah.
one house off of Hickory that I pass 7 times a day.
I mean,
In the
technical
back,
correct.
the outside of the pool, the edges, the edges are just higher. And it was, you have to do it obviously when it's being built and being redone, but then
Mm-hmm.
it kind of just steps up. So when it does flood, it doesn't actually get into the pool, because
Yeah,
let
you-
me tell you.
Right.
you
It
can
gets in
modify
line.
that tank. If the
Yeah.
grade got raised, then
Oh,
the
yeah.
walls go up and then the shallow end you just build
Right.
up on and, I mean, it's
I mean, that would make sense. They wouldn't
It's
be
warm
draining the
clay.
pool all
Pool
the time.
is great.
warm clay with a
It's a great
25-yard
idea.
pool.
Yeah.
And luckily, it really only got sediment in it from, I don't think we got much even from the last two, cause it is a little higher.
Higher,
It's already
yes.
built up on concrete.
Mhm.
It didn't get anything in it from Milton.
It got a little, I mean, it
A
got
little
some
bit.
sand, but
Milton
not,
was
not
fierce.
like a Margaritaville or somewhere else that they,
Yeah.
you know, but, Ian we had, we only had maybe, not only, but like 2 feet,
That's
In there.
only, yeah.
but,
Wow, that's, Really?
That-
Yeah,
That's-
we didn't have, it wasn't full by any means. so-
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is built up a little bit, and it has the retention pond next to it, but
Right.
I think with Ian it was different. I think everything came out and washed back, but this one just kinda stayed,
Mhm.
so. But no, I will definitely get that.
Okay.
I'll get a, kind of an overview of the pool and, cause I think we had to do that for CBDGR, so.
Will you have more information about the inside of the gym or the rec center for the next meeting, so that, you know, like, is the feasible lifting and all that?
I don't know, the architect is also doing our town hall, so that's priority over.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
I mean, they're working on it, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
Just we gotta
I'd like
get
to
out
say
of
I have an
trailers.
answer by this afternoon, I just don't, I
okay.
don't know. I mean,
Well-
honestly, I don't.
It's a nice idea.
I will give you an update if I have one, or when I
Okay.
have one, and we'll have a better idea. And I did speak to Kenny Charles. Kenny Charles? Yeah. So I said now that he does Wave of Vitality. I know Karen knows a little bit.
Remember
more.
the place that
It
used to be,
in the shopping center.
In the
used to
plaza.
be in
Yeah.
Secret
Yeah.
Plaza, Wave of Vitality, and they had all
Yes.
kind of protein shakes
Yeah.
and everything.
Uh-huh.
So he also had a space
In the
on the third
library.
floor of the library
Library.
where he had
Mhm.
a Wave of Vitality as well.
Oh, yeah, concession.
But that hasn't been open yet either, so we were
Uh-uh.
talking about possibly putting him here at the gym
Oh,
with a Wave of Vitality, so
He was
people could
good,
work
yeah.
out, get protein shakes. So- Yeah, they got really good stuff,
Yeah.
so.
yeah, you bet.
So is he
Yeah,
still
so-
interested in that?
Oh, definitely. We
Okay.
talked. We talked the other day, and we actually spoke this morning again. Because I would like to, whoever it is, and in there, we'd like a space, especially with, and we'll talk about it here next, is the redevelopment of the park. It'd be nice to have a place where people can go down there. They can, have a picnic. They can go get something at, Wave of Vitality or
Snacks,
something, or maybe they'll have snacks, whatever.
You bet.
Yeah, ball games, that whole thing. To have a vendor down there would be ideal because we've had issues in the past getting even licensed to do like hot dogs. So, because our kitchen didn't meet code at the time. So I talked to him about let me know because they have a license and what that would mean for our build back. Because if it's not them, in the future it could be somebody else, and we want to have the right sinks and the right heights and the right, refrigeration and all that. So yeah, he's gonna get me a list of that he needs. So. And I said he's gonna be, that'll be, building that out will be part of the plan going forward. So that was good news too. I think it'll really enhance. I mean, after, before Helene, we were trying to extend even that side door out, kind of a patio over that little pond a little bit, and it'd been nice to have tables. People can go out there, maybe have music or whatever. So we'd like to make that area, especially with the redevelopment now starting, to make that kind of nicer as well.
Can you
Could be
have
good.
bathrooms and changing rooms at ground level over there? Like if it were to be torn down and rebuilt,
What, torn down?
like the structures, are you talking about like kind
The
of starting from
the
scratch
oaks?
and moving at the pool?
Oh, pool?
Right.
I don't know what code says. I don't know if we
Okay,
can.
That's what I was curious.
I don't know what flood zone that's in.
It's not the one, so Margaritaville they got grandfathered in, cause part of that building remained. But if that building would have been totally
That's what I'm thinking.
washed away,
It changes
they would have
everything,
had to
right?
go up. But we're in a different zone than Margaritaville is, because they're on the beach.
Right.
To the left.
So that's the high velocity zone, and we're in the
AE probably.
AE
Yeah.
or something, I can't remember.
So, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna redo the structure anyway, would it be a good idea? Yes. To
I
raise
don't
it
even know if
up.
it was legal. Like if you tear the whole thing down and rebuild it all, like that's what I was thinking. Then you're starting from scratch with codes. You're not grandfathered into anything, and
Right.
then how do you do all that up? So you
Yeah,
need
it's more
elevators,
for
and it's so
code
much-
and the
Right.
CPD process.
With regard to the concession, for like Wave of Vitality as an example, but this is a public building. Do we not have to go out for bid in terms of whoever vendor would be in that space? So
Yeah,
when you're
that-
talking about redeveloping that concession area and bringing it to restaurant standards, it then provides the opportunity for a variety of
Correct.
businesses to bid for a particular contract for a particular time.
Yeah,
with-
whatever our scope would be.
Exactly, so I think it's an excellent suggestion with WAVE, but it's not, they can't presume to think it'll be an ipso facto, you know, you're in kind
And
of
what
a scenario.
and that's
Or
kind of
the
what I
only
talked to him
one,
about
too.
was,
Well, it could be a couple different places too, cause Wave of Vitality was more morning.
Well, you
to-
need like burgers and hot dogs.
I don't
you
think
know,
I don't think we'll have a restaurant
it could-
there, but
Right, like you need
No,
concession
but
stand
just
food
for,
too.
for whatever,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, refreshments, that, you know, there might be, I mean, I don't think the town can
we
legally
cannot.
give it to
No,
one
and that's what I
person
told him.
without the
That I
bid.
just
That's-
want the specs of what we need for a licensed kitchen.
Exactly,
So-
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah,
And do that generically and then look for
Right.
someone who,
for sure.
Is
Yes. Yeah, we
the
can't
best-
just select without a bid
a vendor.
process.
But I know he's not going back into Seagrape. I think he'd like to go back into the library too, but I know he's not gonna go back into Seagrape,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Just takes time.
All right. So we okay on those? Any other questions about facilities? Technically, Bayside Park is Bayside Veterans Park is under our umbrella, so to speak. We just signed with Kirkwood Electric to redo all of the conduit, all the lighting, and that includes lighting on Old San Carlos. So they're gonna the permit, I think, is gonna be submitted today, so by next week, I think, if we can get the permitting and they got everything in right, we can start next week or the week after to start doing street lights, Bayside Park lights. We also met with them about resiliency. Every time it would flood, we'd have shorts, we had fires down there, in the lighting system, so we're not gonna put ground lighting in as it was. They have some other ideas about uplighting on those trees that are removable. They're like a quick connect and they're watertight and everything, so, you know, again, we don't wanna keep spending money and redoing these things. I know it can be reimbursed, but, you know, that's a lot of staff time, that's a lot of extra money, you know, it's not just gonna
Well,
be
at
fully.
some point, they're not gonna keep reimbursing.
Correct,
Exactly,
exactly right.
exactly.
Yeah,
We know that's
That's-
coming.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so we don't wanna even put ourselves in that situation, so we're gonna try a few different things. The outlets are all gonna be up high now,
Right.
not ground level, cause they keep shorting out, obviously, so,
No choice.
Well, I have to tell you, in my personal experience, because I have uplighting for my landscaping, and after Helene and Milton, both of which I had water cover my entire property, that my lighting did not get destroyed. The lights work fine, they're like brass, they're
Yeah.
solid brass, but and even the connector to the plug to the transformers in both the front and the back were fine. So there is a way to uplight with the kind of equipment that will withstand that kind of flood.
yeah, and the problem that we had was stuff got shoved down there and it just shifted everything too, so. It was the conduit that's really the worst. A lot of them are plugged, they were just caked with mud, and made all the wiring brittle, so. Yeah, they're being resilient though on it, they're a good company to work with, and it's about time to get it done and get some streetlights down there too, so.
If you wanna come over and see the kind of lighting system I have that they installed like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
it might be worth, you know, as another option for something that is more resilient than maybe
Take a
what
look
we've
at
been
it, yeah.
using.
You bet.
Yeah, I think with everything, we're trying to get where we can just take them off island, load them in a trailer.
Yeah.
You know, even with the clock, we took that down, put it somewhere safe. We gotta put it back up. Company should be around, I think the first part of December to reinstall it, so. Yeah, there's just a lot of options for everything, but we wanna make it as resilient as we can. But yeah, there's a sand sculpting comp, going on right now, so that's cool. Hopefully the rain makes the sand all sticky, and I don't know if that's good or not.
Oh, boy.
Even better.
Might
But
make
they're
it
using
easier
Bayside
for 'em.
Park, they're closing off, one street on Old San Carlos, from, First to Second, there'll be vendors, so it'll be cool. But streetlights
Good.
would be very nice down there for everyone.
Could be.
Public safety is a big thing, so.
Very
Yeah, aren't
good.
they having like bands all day and evening too at Bayside Park? So,
So, all right, any other questions about facilities?
We had talked about a multi-purpose field last time. Are we discussing that this time or?
We can definitely start that
Okay,
discussion.
so, one of the things we had talked about is that we didn't know about, yes?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that's the next agenda item, right?
Yeah.
If you just wanna go on to the next one.
Oh, I don't
That's-
see that.
Exactly.
It's the redevelopment,
Oh, that's part of that?
yeah.
That's items for
Mhm.
discussion.
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
The Bay Oaks. The Bay Oaks redevelopment plan.
We're still in the staff liaison report, I got you. It went
Okay.
into development, so.
It went into a lot of things.
Yeah, okay.
It went into raising streets. I don't know all that. I'll just give you kind of a rundown where we're at. We did get the grant extended, so that's great. We actually got it extended till March of 2026, but definitely want to get it done before then.
Okay, what is the date, did you say? I couldn't
I
hear.
think March 2026, I think.
March
Is that what it was?
2026. That is the deadline for the completion.
Mm-hmm.
It is? I thought we got 18 months.
March of 2025 is not enough, Jason.
Get it all done?
This just in.
I'll find out when the actual date was, but I thought we got 18 months.
And
Okay.
that makes it to where it has to be the ball field, correct? That was the thing about the extension?
No.
No.
What it said in the scope was a multi-purpose field. So these are the things that were in the scope. Multi-purpose field, pickleball courts, resurfacing the basketball court and tennis courts, which we already did as part of that. It also included a playground, which we already put in by Bay Oaks there. Parking. That's really all that was in that grant.
Not a building.
Not a building.
And it wasn't it $1 million grant and then we had to match it?
Yeah,
Is
we
that what
matched it
that-
with $1 million. We needed $1 million match, so we're using our ARPA funds, some of our ARPA funds to match that.
So it's a $2 million project?
That's trying to keep it at $2 million. Yes. The bid actually went out. We have to get a contract and signed by the end of this year, so December 31st. So we had to put it out for bid like 2 Saturdays ago. So we're getting questions about it, and it should be awarded. We put out a very vague scope, so we're not really tied to anything. We can go through more of a design when we're done, but it's gonna kind of stay the same as what we had it, minus a building, minus
Oh, you
a
put
ball field.
You put the amphitheater in there too though, didn't you?
So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna do, not the amphitheater, but we're gonna make a kind of almost like a band shelter as part of the amphitheater, but not how
Yeah.
it was designed. So we're gonna do instead of a ball field, cause we don't feel like there's a need for another softball field. You know, it didn't get used that much before. We have one, we can play anything on. And we're gonna make it a kind of a more of an open grass area, almost more of a park setting. So if people wanted to play soccer on there, they can play lacrosse on there, they can play baseball on there, they can play football on there, and it's gonna be big enough to do all of those. You're kinda limited when you go to, I know we were kinda making the softball field multi-purpose, if you will, but I don't even know if it would have fit a full-size soccer field.
It would not have.
So,
It was like
to me,
U8
that
or
wasn't
something was
necessarily
what it would feel.
multi-purpose.
Yeah.
That was,
No.
so we would like to do, have a band shelter down there. We'll do some picnic areas, some lighting. We'll do, walking paths throughout the park, those kind of things. So it's gonna look really like just a nice recreational and passive recreational park.
Can we find out, like, with the diamond being gone, obviously there's a lot more space there. And, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, that we have a field now that softball's using, because that was the issue, is softball gonna be able to use that field? The adults, they are. But can we find out, because I don't know all the requirements, but like 18U soccer, like how much they would need and how much lacrosse would need, and just make sure that that's our green space at least?
So
if
that
that's
whole
possible?
area is gonna be green space.
So it should fit?
Basically
I mean, I don't know the
I should have had it
requirements.
printed out, but I think everyone's seen it numerous times. Where the pickleball courts are,
Mhm.
there's a little bit of parking next to that, and then the rest will be green.
So do
So-
you have a picture?
Of what it's gonna look like?
Yeah, the new picture.
And when you
Cause I
say
No.
have the
we-
old picture.
No, like I said, nothing has actually been, that's gonna be up to whoever wins the bid. We're gonna talk to them.
Okay,
These are just the things that we put in the scope that have to happen because of the grant.
okay.
do we have a list, I mean, what was in that grant in terms of what we are rebuilding? Because is that in keeping with what BORCAB has been talking about for the last several years? Obviously, with the exception of the actual building that we were going to build. So, for example, X number of pickleball courts and having the multi-use and having the amphitheater basically in the same location. So is there anything in addition to that we aren't aware
No,
of?
it's really only those bullet points that I said. We had added in, we added in basically the building and the new gym, the new, basketball facility, or
Right.
whatever you call it.
Which was gonna be, I think, phase 2.
Yeah, so those are still in the plans. As a scope, we put them as, basically phase 1 will be what we're gonna do. Phase 2 would be a new building, which I don't know if we're gonna need at this point, but.
Well, I just would like, I would like to open up this conversation to the board cab members. I understand that staff has been working very hard on, getting this grant obviously awarded and going to bid, but I think at this point, given the fact that we've had these recurring storms, for us to really sort of, again, reimagine exactly what is the most feasible thing for us to do as a town. The reason I bring that up is because of the gym. The gym is sort of sitting there like a sitting duck. And while you say the roof is in good shape, neither of these events really over the last, 3 years have been huge wind events. There were no tornadoes on Fort Myers Beach, for example. There were not 200-mile-an-hour winds that could have destroyed that roof and that gym. And so that is a very vulnerable building. And if we're reimagining exactly what goes into that property, I would love for us to think about demolishing that gym ultimately. Question of course, is when, but then building something that is elevated. And again, bringing it to FEMA standards so that we can, conduct the kinds of classes and programs that will allow for an air-conditioned facility.
Yeah, I think we then get into the issue of the same thing with the pool. How would we pay for that?
Well, that's, obviously, that doesn't, that
So that
doesn't
can be a-
include the gym, but because this is an agenda item about the redevelopment of Bay Oaks, that conversation should be had now. Because,
I think
while we're
but
talking
that's a
about the green space, I get what you're saying about, looking at where the pickleball courts are, but that gym is a very vulnerable building. It's an old building, and it is obsolete, given the fact that it's not high.
Yeah,
Jeff,
I
is there a
agree. I
50%
I
rule?
was just going what was off the initial plans that BORCAB had. I mean, part of the scope of work for the redevelopment didn't include the building. So,
Cause it was gonna stay, we were gonna do this amphitheater that was overlooking a ball
Correct.
field, which isn't a ball field anymore, so you're not really surrounding it necessarily, but if we're gonna change the amphitheater, like she said, what if that money goes more
okay,
towards
but
the gym itself?
we can talk about it. We have $2 million to spend on this redevelopment right now. That would
Okay,
be
s-
a
I
big
think that's
capital.
gotta
We
be
can't even do
separate
capital.
though, right?
So
Right
what
now.
you're saying is that $2 million does not include any building, whether it's the
$2
gymnasium
million
or not.
includes those 4 or 5 points of the scope that have to be done. Walking trails, multi-purpose field, pickleball courts, resurfacing, parking, and lighting.
Not the gym.
Enlightening.
It had nothing to do with, this whole redevelopment and even what's been discussed had nothing to do with the gym at any point.
Itself.
And the pickleball courts and
We
basketball.
can talk about it if that's what you guys wanna do.
Are those the outside courts? When you're resurfacing basketball, that's resurfacing the outside basketball court?
Correct.
Not- Right, so it's a completely separate thing besides this 2 million.
So we're thinking
That'd be a
about the gym
separate
as
item
we
then.
are
Correct.
about the
I mean, the
pool.
gym, if we redid it, would be, I don't even know, 15 million?
So-
20 million? I
Conservative,
mean, that's,
yeah.
we can't even do anything capital right now because
Right.
of our bridge loan for 10 years, you know? So,
So
Well, I
what is
think
the deal with the
reimagine-
insurance? So that is the insurance for, replacement costs, or how does our insurance work?
with the rec center?
For
Yeah.
the rec center?
Yeah, they'll give us a cost of replacement and to go towards replacing things. They're not gonna build new.
That's
So
right.
if they say the gym floor is $50,000, that's what we have to spend. You know, I mean, not all, but that's what they're gonna give us to spend on that.
We're not
Like she said,
as
then you
stuck
have-
like a FEMA reimbursement that it has to be what was there.
I mean, no, not necessarily, 'cause
materials.
we're talking
So
about
we
it going
can
up,
be
so, yeah.
inventive with
Right,
better,
cause
Yeah.
that's
better
insurance,
materials.
that's regular insurance,
okay.
not FEMA
Okay.
Yeah.
replacement.
And with the, you know, we had that visioning session, I don't know if that was CBD, the one that was at Diamond Head, is that CBDGR?
Yeah, that was CBDGR.
So one of the top things was walking trails for the town when they did the
Mhm.
visioning. So I wanted to incorporate a lot of those in there. We can also put back, you know, disc golf, cause that's, people, I saw some guy playing it yesterday up there, and there's only 2 holes, so go ahead. But, you know, I just think, you know, there's a place in Tampa downtown that's a beautiful, beautiful area. It's open, people like to just sit there, you know, I imagine it like people playing frisbee and catch and, you know, that kind of thing down there, and then we can have concerts and all sorts of
It's
things.
Riverwalk, yeah, in downtown
You know?
Tampa, yeah,
Yeah,
the park, yeah,
the
yeah.
park, the
Oh,
park
you
is
bet.
beautiful.
It's fantastic.
So,
Yeah.
kind of almost imagine a little bit like that, but more openness and letting more multi-purpose things going. So, I know people might be disappointed with it. It's not a softball field. It's probably not the best use for the town right now. I think an open park would be great. You know, we even talked about putting in maybe possibly a community garden down there, if that would work somewhere, or you know, the ideas can come from you all, but those are the 5 things that need to go into this grant.
And do you have the drawing that, was submitted with the grant then? I mean, is that, I don't.
Yeah,
did
that
we-
hasn't changed.
did
The only
we
thing
receive
that,
that?
because we can't change a whole lot.
Right,
you-
but
I mean,
did
I-
we receive that?
You have, I don't know, I didn't
No,
send it
but
out on this one.
that's taken off what we did,
Hey,
like
Ja-
3 or 4 years ago.
Jason,
Yeah.
can you
Okay.
pull up the
'Cause that's-
redevelopment? I think it's on our website, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what, Andy has hanging in his
Just
office.
the overall picture.
Because at
Surely
the
is.
time, we couldn't put the walking trails in.
That's
That was
right.
the last I heard, so I've never seen the plan that includes the walking trails.
You couldn't
I
put
haven't
them in
either.
because,
Well, because they were too close to the bay, to the
Got it.
water.
To the water itself.
so now we kind of eliminated that.
Okay,
I don't have a drawing of what the trails are actually gonna look like. Those are just in the scope, and then once that gets awarded, then we'll sit down with the builder and say, this is exactly what we'd like. So we have a little bit of time, but
okay.
I don't have a drawing of what that's gonna look like. What I can say is it'll look the same, except for the building and the footprint, and actually a little more than the footprint.
And the ball field, obviously. is
Yeah, the
not.
ball field will be green space.
So the ball
Yeah.
field was gonna be shifted to make room for the amphitheater, and even when you rebuilt the ball field, it was still gonna be shifted just in case. So now that it's just green space, it doesn't have to be shifted at all, right? It's
And
just
then we
what
don't
it
need
is.
the fencing either then,
I mean,
right? No
no,
fencing?
There's
it
nothing to
doesn't.
shift.
No, we don't have to shift anything. It's gonna be, I mean,
Just
think
the
of it
whole
as,
space.
think of kind of it as a
Yeah.
rectangle of green space. I mean, it won't look like that, but that's what we're looking at.
So do we have money for an amphitheater?
We won't do an amphitheater.
No, I know. I just wanna know if we have
No,
money.
because we lost that grant, it ran out. So
Cause
that,
if we did, then we could just use that for the gym and make one solid gym.
no, because that
instead
was
of two different
specific to,
buildings.
No, because of the
certain items too.
restrictions.
Yeah, there was restrictions on those. Usually when you get a grant, it's pretty restricted to what you can do.
Right, yeah.
So.
But this could consider a future band shell.
We are
or-
gonna
or-
do,
or you s-
we are gonna
it's
do a
part of
band
it.
shell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
I,
I mean,
I just think it could shift the whole thing. Like we had this amphitheater plan with like room for the kids and different office spaces and stuff like that. If it trails into redoing the gym, which it may not because it's completely out of our price point, then it just becomes that one building. Instead of having an amphitheater and the gym, it's just one building in somewhere, maybe where the gym is currently. I don't know.
yeah,
instead
I
of
don't
having
know.
two
We'd have to have a talk about that building. It's not completely off the table. It's still in a phase, but
Just a lot.
it's a lot. We don't have that grant to pay for it, and
Right.
With regard to the rec center and the gym, given the fact that we're getting these increased floods, what is the feasibility of continuing to have a basketball court in that gym if in fact we have to elevate that building and then just put in, say, racquetball courts instead of the actual basketball?
yeah, I think that's why we're trying to think outside the box with raising the floor up.
Right,
And hopefully, that we haven't seen anything from the architect back, but
Well, normally they do
Is,
basketball, because basketball,
is an outside basketball court sufficient for our community?
Is outside?
I mean, you have the outside basketball court.
No,
And
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I would think it does get enough use, and especially with our kids
Does it?
on it. That you know, we ran, you know, Shanette, the recreation coordinator, ran a nice league this year with
Yeah,
with a
It
bunch
was
of
well
teams, and
participated.
it was an adult league. It was great. So
the kids have
I
had
think
it.
the
I think
need-
it needs an indoor one as well.
Huh?
I think you need an indoor one.
yeah, I think that with Florida and the AC, I think you know it'd be better. I mean, we could
It's just a
we
different
could just
basketball
about
game
think.
too.
I mean,
outside versus
stuff that
inside.
would add cost to it, but I mean, we could even do like if the raised basketball floor, and then we do a walking trail above too. I mean, something like that. I mean, I was a member of YMCA back in Minnesota, and they had a beautiful walking track above the courts, and the Elk River one actually
Yeah.
was a nice one.
Yeah.
So,
I think I've walked on that.
yeah, great area. But we can, as far as the rec center goes, there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. Okay, thanks, Jason.
Okay, let's.
So here's the rec. I can point out a few things. We don't roll off. Everyone can see it. So basically, this is gonna get eliminated.
Wait,
Wait,
where are we?
Oh, you're over
Right
there.
here. I don't know if you can see
where
it
are
from
you?
over there. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This will get eliminated. I mean, not eliminated, but just not part of the plan right now. And this will turn into more green space right here. So all that's gonna be green space.
Okay, and which then allows for the walking trail.
Yep, then we'll do walking trails. We didn't have to change our permit cause that permit took, remember, like 2 years to get. We were make sure we had enough retention ponds there. Retention pond will be over here.
but the pickleball courts that you
Pickleball courts are gonna stay.
stay, so
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4?
Yep.
Okay,
What is getting eliminated again?
The building,
The building.
and then where you see anything but the building and the parking lot will be green. Green space,
Oh, great,
walking
okay.
trails and. There's
Because
a-
the little gazebo looking thing to the right, that's part of the school, correct?
This?
Yes.
Yeah, that, school, our line goes here.
Okay,
Yeah, this is all school property.
okay.
So I was thinking, you know, if we did an amphitheater where people could park and then it's back here and you could do even, I don't know if we could do food trucks or vendors out there, like a fair, we could do health fairs out on the lawn, anything, it's a possibility.
It's a lot of
We
green
could,
space.
we could put workout equipment in there, we could do another, like the fitness court, there's really cool ideas of that, it's almost like, they call it an adult playground with fitness stuff, and it's covered and everything, so there's a lot of possibilities. The only thing we want is to not put a ball field there right now and have options.
Well, so since there is no ball field and you're allowing for the walking trails, is it possible to put additional pickleball courts in now, rather than the set amount?
How many?
Because
Probably would in
do
our
we
budget,
need?
there's for 4.
only 4.
And then
That's
all
what's
the
in
indoor
That's what's in
ones,
the
right?
plan.
It's not very many.
All the indoor ones.
I mean,
You have indoor pickleball courts too, correct?
So how many
in the
total?
building. Yeah,
Well,
so we
the
have,
building
Yeah, the building's
we have
closed.
4 here,
The
we
building
still
that
have,
doesn't
It's not an
exist,
issue.
right?
what?
The building that doesn't exist.
It exists, just, it says
Yeah.
existing building, to remain.
Yeah, yeah.
There'll be 4 here, how many are we?
4.
4?
4, yeah.
4, and then depending on, there's been some tennis players back, which has been great to see, but we could even do ones out there if we needed to.
Where is the tennis court right now?
Up there at the top.
Behind the building.
Behind the
Man, the
rec
rec
center.
center.
Behind the rec center.
That's not pickleball, it's just tennis.
It's
It's
just
tennis.
tennis right
Okay.
now.
I've seen a lot of ones converting to line with pickleball too.
I have too, that's what I was wondering.
But
We'll
Good.
come play, we just started tennis.
Huh?
We'll come play.
Tennis?
My kids just started tennis lessons, yeah, we need to
That's
come play.
awesome. Yeah, there's a few people in the morning that play, otherwise it
Yeah.
kinda sits, so. But
Well,
we
it's been
did,
hot.
we did resurface it, looks nice. But yeah, and some of this, if we build anything additional, then we have to rework some of the drainage. And that means possibly redoing a permit. Does that make sense? So that's why
Possibly
we're
redoing.
redoing the
Yeah.
permit.
Oh,
So I don't know if we wanna play that game at this point.
Is it
well,
2
no,
years
because
to
we
get
have a
the
time
permit?
constraint.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think the conversation is worth having now to plan for something that could be phased in, like a 5-year plan to say, okay, while this is all we can do with this
Mhm.
grant at this time, we plan to do this within a 5-year.
I think that's great, and actually John and I talked about a strategic plan was yesterday.
Yeah.
We had a strategic plan.
So yeah, I'd asked in our meeting, it was with Andy and everything, I said, once, we could either do it before if we feel like it's necessary, or I know we had talked about waiting till the town does theirs, but I'm not sure when that's gonna be.
It's supposed to be kicked off in full, I think, January, February. That's one of the things that, Dr. Kohler was hired
Okay.
to lead. So now that she's on board, as Andy's assistant, then she'll take over a lot of that organizational and planning and moving those things forward.
Very
So-
good.
I mean, if
Cause
we,
there'll be public meetings on that and all kinds of
Of course,
stuff
yeah.
that take place.
Good.
so, we talked about, putting that in, since if we had, we can go to people and potential things that John may bring up
Yeah.
later, and say, hey, look, it's part of our strategic plan, or if we go for a grant, it's part of our strategic plan. So I'd like to get one, and I know we've talked about it, I just don't know if we have to wait, if we wanna wait.
Yeah, I guess what we talked about was, I think the same concept that you're talking about is, as things are being built out, that the future is thought of in the design, so.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there was a major
Exactly.
aquatic center built in Orange County, California. They have the plumbing and the electrical underground for a second 50-meter pool when they're ready to do it, and it's right next to the 50-meter pool that they built. But I mean, that kind of planning
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of actual, carrying out the infrastructure for things.
Yeah.
It will be,
And
it'll
that-
be
and that-
great, because
and
we don't
that's-
have to redo or start from
Yeah, and that's
scratch
perfect,
with
I
each
mean,
new
to
thing.
do that,
Yeah.
to have stuff stubbed in and already
Yeah.
infrastructure ready to go.
Yeah.
So, this
'Cause-
also means that we don't have to do a second lift station
Yeah.
on that property.
Well, it's also,
You bet.
if we're looking at a big picture of long-term planning, it will be harder to say no
Yeah.
when we get to those phases and say, well, we've already plumbed for a second pool. We've already got the
Yeah.
infrastructure for a
Mhm.
building, and the plan can kind of stay
They probably
as
charge
a
more in
structure
fees.
itself, so.
Their membership fees are a lot more than ours.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna, we'll be taking blood samples and
Right.
So right now,
security
we're
numbers
just
and-
trying to use up the money that, not use it up, but use the money that we have.
Yeah,
And obviously if you build a softball field there, not much you're gonna do with that afterwards, where if we do, if we wanna put in an extra park, or we need to put in something else, to your point, for the future,
yeah.
we have that option. So, I think it gives us more options than having a softball field there.
And just showing that we're thinking about the long term.
Correct.
You bet.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if we didn't have a
Because-
softball field, it'd be a very different conversation, but the fact that there
Oh,
is one there,
absolutely.
you know.
Yeah, and you just don't find a whole lot of green space on this island.
Yeah.
They come and play on our outfield at the Little League just to find somewhere to kick a soccer ball around, you know? It's, I'm excited for that multi-purpose,
Absolutely.
having that, and there's a lot of cool things, I mean,
Yeah.
we obviously,
That's good.
right? We obviously get magazines and stuff for me, and there's so many cool ideas
Oh,
out
yeah.
there that we can look into to make it worthwhile. I mean, the fitness court up there, I hate to say it, I'm really surprised how much it gets used. I shouldn't
know.
say that, cause I just didn't know. Hopefully the
People
shade
drive-
sale will go in soon.
Every time I drive
Yeah.
by, there's
There's-
somebody out there.
Yeah.
Especially early in the morning when it's
They're
really
there all
hot.
day. I mean,
Right.
they'll come and sweat it all off
Yeah.
out there, and
Yeah.
it's, maybe we need some more outdoor facilities like that.
Well, it's very
with shade.
visible from the road. Like, there were people
Yeah.
before, they're like, what is Bay Oaks? They have no idea, and now you're passing it and you see it.
Yeah.
It's big, you
Oh,
know.
Does
which
that-
reminds me,
does that
the
have a-
sign is, I think it's now permitted to go in, by the way, the Bay Oaks Park
Oh,
sign.
good.
How many years later?
Is there those triangle parachute thing gonna go over it, any kind of shade
This one?
structure? Yeah.
Yeah, we have it.
Okay,
We were gonna
alright.
do it right before,
I know we had talked about, yeah.
whatever, I think it was before Debbie
Those are
even.
good December construction projects, yes.
Yeah, well, we
After
just,
hurricane
Not
season.
September, yeah.
once we get all this sand cleaned up and
Yeah,
put
okay.
everything back.
They even had the thing last week.
Cause
You
it'll
didn't know where
get,
it was
it's
going.
gonna get even more
What?
use
Put
when it's
anything.
got.
Oh
shade.
yeah, it could have been, it was supposed to hit us today.
I know, you can't put anything up right now.
So, no, we could have put it up, I just,
Yeah.
our
Be taking it
people
down.
power,
Let this wind
manpower,
go.
people
Yeah.
power,
Right.
workers are reallocating where they need to be right now.
Yeah.
It's getting use without shade, so when it gets shade,
It'll really
There'll be
need
people gathering, waiting for their station,
Yeah.
and that'll be,
So
that's a beautiful problem.
I hate to say it, it's obviously public, but I was a little, I wasn't leery on how much it was gonna be used, especially in the off season, and I've been just blown away, honestly. I mean, there's groups
Yeah.
out there.
And that's
there's-
even on those walkways that we put in, having the one-off
Like Lakes
machine
Park?
and,
Yeah.
well, the park courses all over
Yeah.
the world, you know.
There's
They
really
just have an
cool stuff like
exercise
that,
station,
yeah.
and that's what I had talked about with the, expanding out into the island at the beach accesses. If there's one station or two stations wherever they could fit, they're gonna get used, just like this is getting
You
used
bet.
I agree.
en masse.
They will be.
So, I guess that's my spiel on the redevelopment. So nothing major besides the ball field, and then obviously not having any money for the building. But
Sounds pretty major.
well, I mean,
The fact that we're broke and don't know
Yeah.
it's fine.
I mean-
it's fine.
we have enough money to do what we want to do. But
Broke with a plan is better
I mean,
than.
even with the ball field, I know we're adding additional lighting in the park and everything, so it's lit. But the ball field lights itself are about $800,000. You know, it would have taken up half this budget.
Yeah, that's gonna be a cost saving, just the lack of having to maintain that grass.
Right.
Question about landscaping, is this grant including landscaping? Shade trees, speaking to what John just
Don't-
mentioned.
Do you remember, Jason? I don't remember on landscaping. But yeah, we'll do. This will be a situation where we'll have probably more shade trees down here.
March.
We'll have more
bonsai?
shade trees down at this park than
Right.
probably anything else. I mean, we'll still have some palms because that's what the visitors
Well,
like. But
Are we as a town, committing to Florida-friendly landscaping that would also be storm resilient?
that's what we're looking for. Yes. I mean, I even looked at the trees down at Times Square. You know, you see what survived.
I know.
That is
It's the tall
painful
palms.
lesson.
That was
It is
pretty
tall
sad.
palms, honestly, and I
Like
know people don't
Calusas
like
survive.
coconut palms, but
Coconut
If
palms
they're
last
maintained,
the
they're the best
longest,
thing
they
out there.
survive the best.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
And,
you know,
and royal
it's
palms do not, they're not
more
as
trimming
salt
for
tolerant.
us. It's more, maintenance, but
Yep.
But they stay there, you're not replacing
Not
trees.
gonna be
correct.
replacing
So
them,
we
yeah.
actually are just doing a purchase order. I want to do it today or tomorrow for 38 coconut trees down at coconut palms down. I think there's 18 or 20 some at Times Square, and then we're doing them back down on Old San Carlos for now, and then obviously we'll do them on North Estero as well when we get to that point. We do have a grant for the North Estero ones, so we'll be putting those back, and that might even be a combination of palm trees and shade trees.
They're
So-
beautiful. They're a lot of work,
You
but
need
they're
'em
some of the
both.
most beautiful palm trees in my opinion.
Yeah.
I love
Well,
them.
Well, and I keep telling everyone, I used to visit here every year, from Minnesota. I came down and looked at, I loved seeing a palm tree. I loved seeing grass that in January or February, I loved seeing grass I could run on. So, I know we are obviously doing this for the residents as well, but we gotta think, long term with these big resorts coming in and all the short-term rentals we have that people are selling out to that, we need a spot for them too, and we gotta, we're gonna bring in the tourism dollars as well.
Well, coconut palms are so iconic for Fort Myers Beach from the time this was always a barrier island. Coconut palms have been here, so while, I know it's not as efficient for town staff to maintain, they are really part of what
Yeah.
this town identifies with. So the idea that you are doing coconut palms, again, is great. The other thing about a coconut palm compared to all the other palms, they don't grow beyond, say, North Bradenton. So it kind of defines just exactly what is a subtropical and tropical environment that is also making the beach more unique. So I'm thrilled to hear
Yeah.
that coconut palms are really.
Yeah, and
back in.
we're getting them, I guess, mature trees. We're not getting little saplings like we got before.
Good.
So, we're getting mature trees, so
Make
when
a
you go down
statement.
there, they'll make a statement. I mean, they're not gonna be what they are right now down there, but they're definitely gonna be bigger. I think we did 20 feet of wood at least,
Okay.
is what we asked for, so,
Those are big.
yeah, that's big. So,
That's
we'll
good.
see what they bring us, but that's
You
the
bet.
plan. I just said mature trees, so they'll stake them up, They'll dig the other ones out, they'll put them in, we need to be responsible for watering them, which we'll do, so. So yeah, they'll do that all and all that.
A little off topic, but I do think it's wonderful that the county decided not to put fake grass on their Crescent
Oh.
Park. And I'm
Indeed.
wondering if that was because of public outcry, because I think there were many of us who said, really bad idea.
Had burned
Um,
feet.
And it's interesting to see how that, undeveloped park right now is morphing and being used by people who like the sand.
Yeah,
And you talk about the sand kind of coming and going on this island on a regular basis.
you bet.
That might be the best surface of all, in terms of maintenance.
Have they come up with any new plans for that park yet?
Not
I haven't
that
seen
I've-
any.
Not that I've
not
seen.
that I've
Yeah, I haven't seen any either.
I don't know if it's, I don't, now that you bring it up, I don't know if it's worth even putting a recommendation out there from our board cab. I don't know, you know what I mean, like,
Well, I think some of us just remember burning feet of kids and things at the other park when they had it.
At Bayside?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that was very unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I heard that they were going to do it out in front, I thought, they gotta be kidding.
That
I mean,
artificial
why
turf
would you
gets
do
put in.
that?
yeah.
You know,
And
let's
some
learn from
places-
these things.
Some places irrigated so it cools it down, but it's
Yeah.
still hot.
It's
and
not a
Yeah.
good match for the beach.
No,
It's not a
no.
good look for the beach. There's nothing
Mm-mm.
manicured about a barrier island, nor should there be.
Correct, and,
Mhm.
you know, like I said, people wanna walk on grass, if anything, and if I wanted to walk on turf, I would've gone to the Metrodome.
Right. Exactly.
But you see the way it's used out there now.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
It is.
So, yeah, it does, and, I mean, obviously, people are walking that way because there's no real sidewalk either, so they're walking through the park.
That's
It's
okay.
a clear stretch
okay.
beach. It's just
Right.
extending the beach right up to the Sierra Boulevard. It looks like an
Exactly.
open park.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
but instead
Right
of
from the
green
road
space,
right
it's white
there.
space.
Yep. No, it's beautiful.
I agree.
So,
Is
Well, are
that
we
site
ready to-
plan that we put up, is that on the website?
Yes,
Is it, okay,
yeah.
so that's available.
well, should we move on to
Maybe.
member items and reports? Does anybody have anything?
I have a couple things. So,
Yes, Joy.
pickleball lessons,
Yeah.
in the back, behind the building. So I know, Pam Burzen
Mhm.
is doing some this Friday. Is there another vendor that is contracted to do pickleball lessons?
Not right now.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because one of my pickleball buddies was thrown off of the back pickleball courts because he was doing lessons and he had the courts. So I sent an email to Danielle, not knowing that she was no longer here, because I just was curious, you know, somebody complained to me and I said, oh, I'm on Bay Oaks Advisory. I said, let me find out. And, so
Do you know who kicked them off?
this guy, you know, it was one of those things where she didn't get his name and, you know, so anyway, my question is, Pam Burzen is the person that is holding official lessons with Bay Oaks. There isn't anybody else, so,
No, we did have somebody else indoor, at one point before Ian, but we haven't had anybody since.
okay, that's my next question. Then the next item I have is that the foundation has some funds available for donation. However, obviously, you're having reimbursement from insurance and things like that. So we'd be interested if you had a list of things that were not covered. We would be potentially available for a donation. So maybe we can
That's cool.
Yeah.
discuss it after the fact.
Sounds like a new rec center would be nice.
You beat me to it,
We're
10
talking-
liter, 50 meter pool, how much we talking?
We're talking,
That was
Be
very
greedy.
good, Joy.
we're talking thousands,
Right.
not
Oh, okay.
millions, I'm
Fine.
sorry.
Fine,
We're-
fine.
we're
need
not that
Delisano
flush,
money.
you know?
Yeah, right? Oh,
Right.
yeah, that'll already-
Right?
wow.
Yeah.
Delisano.
Exactly.
So, maybe you can, again, that was the email that I sent Danielle, so maybe you.
And you
can-
know, maybe it's, once we get this park thing going, maybe it's something we use in the park too.
Yeah,
You
that's
bet.
more our
Maybe
speed,
it's-
Mhm.
yeah.
Disc golf.
Sure.
Disc golf would be
goals or
fun.
something, you know, something, I didn't just.
Yeah, that's a great idea,
But it might be,
Yeah.
a water station or
That
something
20
like that would be
million.
kinda
yeah,
cool too.
yeah, okay,
So, but yeah, we'll talk about that.
okay.
Anything
That's all
else,
I have.
Joy?
Yeah.
Anything
it.
else?
Yeah.
That's it?
I want to thank Karen for inviting me to her time with the actual decision makers. It was cool to be in the room, and I really appreciate that. And the best way that I can say to lean in on the pool happening is to sit back right now. You know, sometimes the best way to lean in is to sit back and let the process happen. So that got reinforced to me in the most friendly way yesterday, and I really appreciated the time.
Well, we just
for
have
that.
so many parameters we
yeah.
gotta stick to with all these grants. I mean, it makes,
But we,
It makes
we
creative
went
thinking
further in
hard.
talking about future and
Yeah.
what the possibilities are for the future.
Right.
And for something more. And as, higher dollar visitors and residents come in, expectations raise with that.
Yeah, and
For
it
different
didn't mean to
things.
be a negative at all. I
It-
don't mean
it
a
isn't
negative,
one.
but
No, yeah,
that's
not
why we
at all.
talked about,
Yeah.
I kept going back to strategic plan.
Yeah.
Is that, we can throw out anything, but if it's in our strategic plan, we really have a backup on that. We really do. And
Yeah.
your vision, and I mean, John, you can kind of describe, what we talked about a little more, but having a bigger facility, an Olympic-sized training facility or pool at some point, and he knows more than anybody how much revenue that can bring in and
money that brings in.
how it gets used. So I know part of our conversation, I don't mean to take up your time,
Oh, that's good.
was just land at this point. We just with the money we got, we just don't have the land
Yeah.
to do it at this point. But I said we can have the John Distillery / Strandview
Oh, I don't want my
pool
name on
right
anything.
by
I don't want my name on a
the
pool. I
golf.
know what happens with pools.
No.
We'll find a cousin or
Yeah,
something.
no, but I mean, the ideas I really like,
Yeah.
and it definitely will move us forward to something
Yeah.
good.
There's as I watch the property on the island, when there was an effort to work with a group with donated lands and this and that, but if anybody's watching this in a rerun that happens to be sitting on a nice piece of property or two next door to each other and you're friends and want to be real friends of the island, that might be one of the opportunities.
Yeah.
But one of the
You
4
don't know.
people watching right now knows 4 people who knows 4 people who knows 4 people.
Well,
So
that's the same
it just
situation
gets bigger.
We got in with the pool, like we just
Yeah.
didn't
You
have any
bet.
revenue coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, any
Right.
funding. So you
Yeah.
never know. Somebody
Yeah.
might.
No?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be the glamorous beach, beautiful thing. We're used to training in dungeon as pools, so they can be anywhere.
You bet.
And and everybody doesn't have to be staring at a palm tree
Yeah,
all the time.
And that business. I wouldn't even
Yeah, it's
know who else to go to on that.
and it really is if you build it, they will come. So we've got to just stay open to it, and I think everybody is open to it.
Yeah, that door,
It's
the
just
door
a
hasn't
reality.
closed. We're not
Oh, yeah,
saying
not
Very
at all.
positive.
Yeah,
now
You
we gotta
bet.
find
Yeah.
the right spot
Yeah.
for it.
but I mean, as
Strandview
a,
at 11 million, you don't like that?
That doesn't.
I like where a 50-meter pool fits. So to me, it's measurements, not scenery, and funding.
I'm just saying that it's open to.
But no
It's
problem.
11 million, right?
No problem.
Isn't it? 11
11.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, none for me, thank you.
I would like to talk about the Friends at Bay Oaks. And Jesse got this started and was great at it and had the whole thing going and went to open up the bank account and put me on it. So now that he has resigned, he sent me a text and said, I want to turn this over to you. So let me tell you, I'm not a fundraiser. This is not my thing.
Okay.
So I'm not sure where to take it from here. We have not discussed it because I'm going out of town Friday. So he said we would figure it out when we get back. And I know he's done a lot of work on it and he's very good at it, but obviously not here anymore. So I don't know what to do from here.
So what I
Why
would.
don't we have that as an agenda item for next month? to have
Yeah,
that
but the only, I
conversation?
just want to say that
You bet.
I'd like to take it away from 4CAP,
Correct. So I remember they said none of us need to be on the board.
or shouldn't.
Shouldn't be on the
Right.
board.
Shouldn't be. on there.
And I'm not the type of person to seek people out to be on a board. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
And I know there are people that are very good at that kind of thing. So whoever is listening in the world and is good at that type of thing or has any ideas or wherever it goes from here, I'm happy to take it from him, but then
Right.
deliver it to somebody else.
So do we have any board members at all at this
No,
point?
not as far as I know. So like I said, I haven't really discussed it with him in detail. He just texted me.
So we just have the.
Yeah, I think he got real busy.
He did.
with
And
his-
so there's a checking account. There's not a whole lot in it, but there's a check that's supposed to be coming from the town.
It was,
Got it.
That's
it was given
thousands.
to
Yeah.
the town
Like-
and was put in a separate fund,
What was it?
16,
15,000,
I think.
Something, yeah.
15,000.
So I don't think he's got it yet.
Okay.
So you know, my name's on the checking account. I can go put it in there. Like I haven't touched it. It's at Sandcat Bank, which is going to be really convenient.
Oh, cool.
Somebody else can be on the checking account. You know, as far as the responsibility and the fundraising, that's just not my thing. So
No,
I'm
I
not
understand
good at
that.
The
it.
other person that should be on the checking account would be the treasurer, whoever that may be.
Right, but we don't have a
So-
president.
No,
we
we
don't have
gotta
anything.
get the board set up.
Right, and I don't even know how to start navigating that. So, nor am I honestly interested in navigating that. Just to be full disclosure here. So, I don't know who wants to, or how we go from here, or how that even works. If we put it out on social media, I don't know how this works.
I would actually take it to, PTO. It's, you know, it's for the kids, it's, you know.
It is. They're struggling so much right now. They're like, I know right now there are 2 active members of the PTO.
That's it.
And one of them has a 5th grader. So, I mean, there are other people that are on it, but like, I know Dustin Schmucker was the treasurer. They're so busy
Yeah.
So
Everybody's
it's
trying to rebuild and
correct.
get in
Like,
their
they have their
homes
own
again,
stuff
and, yeah, I
right
get it.
now.
I get it.
Exactly.
And it was just him, and Monica's obviously swamped, so,
Right.
and their house keeps flooding. Like, they have, it's just, everybody's had this ongoing things, and so I know right now, you know, like, Jenny Paradiso and Chantel Blaze are kind of spearheading the whole thing, but Chantel's got a 5th grader, she's gonna be gone,
Right.
which Bayokes is still important, but, I mean,
Right.
it is for more elementary kids at that
Mhm.
point. I don't know. I mean, they have a hard time raising money for the school.
Well,
don't
and
know
this
who
is
else is out
exactly
there.
why it fell apart a few years ago, because
Right.
Denise Monahan ran into the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Couldn't get people on the board, couldn't get people to volunteer, so she just basically shut it down.
Right, and he did such a good job of developing
I
it.
know.
And I know Friends of Lovers Key is big, like it's a big deal. How do you get to that point?
It's hard, I'll tell you that. I mean, I've been on Leopard Ski now for 4 years, and we just extended all of our board, we're all up to timeout according to our bylaws. And we just extended all of us for another year, and we'll figure it out over this next year. Because none of us can leave
Right.
without having someone to replace us.
Right.
And that's kind of the
Oh,
job that we've
yes.
taken in our bylaws. We said, if you're going to leave the board, then you have to have at least one nomination to replace you. Because otherwise, it just doesn't happen. You don't
No.
keep that continuous.
Right.
Maybe where we start is each one of us try to take on the responsibility to come up with a person
Could do
that
that
may do
to
that,
actually,
because it is a chicken or the egg thing right now.
Mhm.
You know, we have to get a group, whether it's an ideal group or not, we need a
Yeah.
group.
and we shouldn't be on it.
And if we could, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that we seek someone who
Right.
we know would be interested.
And
Right.
at the very minimum, at least put the word out and some
Yeah.
feelers out possibly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know that our role of WordCab is necessarily to do that, but
No.
Yeah,
I
but I
think
mean,
that-
if, like, I know
I
a
know.
couple of people and I wanna know who they should contact. Are you comfortable with some people contacting you about wanting to be involved?
I think the.
I don't mind
You know, not
think-
taking the
Yeah.
lead of it, but,
Right.
I think the larger question is, because if you look at Denise Monahan and what caused the Friends to begin to exist in the first place, had to do with the fact that, you know, the Lee County Recreation Department really ran this rec center. And then when the town incorporated, there was huge hue and cry about what's gonna happen with the recreation center, when the town was obviously in no financial position to get it up and running to the extent that it had been in the past. Plus, it was given a building that was kind of already falling apart. So Denise had
That's
a
not new.
mission, she had the reason for, you know, putting that nonprofit together to help get the community engaged and supportive of making this rec center happen. So there was a real purpose for the organization. What I'm seeing by comparison is the fact that the town's doing a really great job of getting the grant funding, getting the, the strategic plans going. We had that active strategic planning and that big brainstorming thing that really sort of replaced the Friends mission. And so if the town's already doing a great job of moving all of these things forward, what in fact is the purpose of the Friends organization? And I think Joy kind of talks about this when she did her member item, to say the foundation is willing to contribute to the benefit of Bay Oaks, at which point they said there's some last minute things that maybe the grant doesn't cover that. So that conversation normally would have been had at a Friends level, because that's the private nonprofit entity as a fundraising arm. So if that's a direct conversation that can be had between the community foundation and the town, what is the purpose of Friends?
Is it better to not be a direct conversation though? Is it better for y'all to donate to a nonprofit versus the town itself? Does that make a difference for the donation?
Yes.
So that's,
That's how you get your write-offs.
Flow is-
And
Okay,
and
so
if
that's
you
one
can get
huge thing right
people to
there.
if you wanna raise money for, like, Friends of Lovers Key, for example, I mean, our mission is to protect, preserve, and support. So we support the rangers and the park on anything that the state doesn't cover. So that can be for equipment, it can be our exhibit hall that we have to maintain according to the state standards and all this kind of stuff. So when you get donations, then people are more readily willing to donate to a 501c3
Right.
because then they can write it off and they get tax benefits and everything, as opposed to giving anything to the town to then go to the Bay Oaks Rec Center.
I mean, honestly, the town is doing a great job, but there's still a lag. Like, there's still money
Yeah.
that needs to be had.
But they're only doing a
somehow.
great job because we had a hurricane and we have all these funding mechanisms
Right.
available to us right now.
Which is
That
gonna run
does-
out.
That's not going to
It's
continue.
not gonna continue.
I mean, you can
No.
always
It
go for
doesn't
grants,
cover
but they're never a
everything.
guarantee, there's no guarantees you're gonna get them.
Right, but the money that you're raising doesn't cover everything anyway.
Exactly.
So,
No. And
Well-
there's a lot of stipulations on it too, like you see, like, well, we have to have these 5 points in there for sure in order
Yeah.
to accept this grant.
Yeah.
So when you have just donations, you don't necessarily have that kind of stringent guideline things. People might say, well, I would like it to go for a water station or whatever it may be, or a dog watering station, like we had a donation for a dog watering station in the park, so that's what we did, and they covered it. So, it's different things like that, but with these grants, it's so strict on what you can do.
I don't know who's on the board for Friends of Lovers Key, but to me, Lovers Key is more of a, at this point, more of a county thing. Like, people from all over come
Yeah.
to Lovers Key. Those people aren't necessarily going to Bay Oaks as much. That's our goal, of
Right.
course, but
Right.
as of right now, it's not. Like Lovers Key just donated to my kid's school for honor roll, like free kids kayak rental or something like that. Like, it's just a general,
Right.
more people are involved in Lovers Key than they
Yeah,
are with Bay
right.
Oaks.
And well,
It's
we
more
have people from
county-based
Benita,
rather
we
than
have people
town-based.
from
Right.
Naples,
Yeah.
people,
So it's a lot harder
And
to get people
But the
here.
majority of the board though, quite honestly, is
Beach.
Fort Myers Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the majority of the board. There's a couple of people that are Estero,
Not Bonita Beach?
not,
Interesting.
no, not Benita Beach at all.
Wow.
Really?
Not at all, it's more Estero. There's 2 Naples, but the rest of us, and there's 12, and the rest of us are pretty much Fort Myers Beach.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't the town able to accept contributions? We talked
We
about.
looked at each other at that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me talk to Adam, he's a whiz with that stuff, so I believe we can accept, it's a, no, I don't remember what the. it's
And
not-
do they get
obviously
a
it's not
tax
501c3.
contribution? That's, I think, the
That's
important
the
issue.
question, yeah.
Yeah, we've already done it.
Yeah.
I mean, the foundation's already donated to Bay Oaks.
So you can donate to the town,
Yeah.
but if you want a write-off,
Well, I don't know.
That's
But
what I mean.
I don't
a
know about the
nonprofit
treasurer's
doesn't
part of
need
it.
a
Right,
write-off.
but I
so
mean, what-
it's for an individual,
Right, right,
that's
right.
the question.
Yeah,
So-
it's not, wouldn't be for the
And we have
foundation.
had generous, foundations and people that have donated in the past, but
Well, then you do
Uh,
fundraisers like Lovers Key, I mean, not to that scale necessarily.
But there is something where we're not a 501c3. We're Adam knows if he's listening. I don't think he is. He texted me, but I can find that out because he found kind of not even a loophole, but that we could accept our own donation.
Say, for example, you get a business to sponsor a tournament on the beach, which you've had with softball. So they contribute directly to the town for that sponsorship, correct?
Yeah, I mean we can take donations. We took donations for the ball field.
Okay, so the business gets a tax write-off to do that. So if that's a direct contribution to the town, again, it sort of questions the issue of a friends organization.
I think part of it is that the town is not gonna go out drumming up
That's true.
donations, whereas the friends would. Like, you're going out seeking people to donate.
And obviously not you.
Exactly.
Not me. I'm so glad you were listening.
I'm listening.
It's not me.
I hear you.
We nominate Becky.
Exactly.
Well, and friends
I've been there
organizations,
before. I've been
like
there, done that.
from, I hate the cliche 30,000 feet, they are more effective and more motivated when what they're supporting is up and operational. So
Right.
while we're in flux right now, it is a question, and it's really hard to go to people and say, hey, give to
Sure
this.
is.
Well, they're paying for it all, and we can't really give to. Once it's going,
It's just like the
then
women's
it's the
club.
water fountains that are missing, the this
Yeah.
that we didn't
But
get
then you
to.
don't wanna
Just
let
like
it
the
go right
women's-
now, because it took so much to
So
get
that's
it
what I mean.
reactive.
If it
to
can,
keep
if it can just carefully exist
It's hard,
until
though,
these things are
because
operational.
There's
You bet.
timings on it, and you
Yeah.
have to file financials,
Oh, yeah,
and you
yeah.
have to have audits, and, I mean, that's all government
Mhm.
laid out. I mean, because it's a 501c3 charitable organization, so that you've got all these
Yeah, it has annual,
guidelines that
annual
you,
things
and you
that
gotta
has
have these bylaws, then you gotta conduct yourself,
And
and,
how many people are really here?
well, that's just it right
mean-
now. I mean, we've lost half of our population in the
That's
last 4
exactly
years.
You
right.
bet.
There you go, critical mass.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Getting, yeah.
It's
I mean,
hard.
Getting
You
four
can
more
only,
on
you
Commander
can only
Street
hit
before
people
February.
Yeah.
on volunteering
built fast.
so many
Yeah.
times.
I was
And it's
thinking,
the same people.
It's the same people. I know.
Yeah.
Believe
Is it
me.
about half the
I know.
population?
You and I know.
About half the population,
I was-
I heard.
I was looking at the vote, when we had the vote on election day, and I was looking at how many people voted for council, and I was like, I thought there was more of us.
When,
Like,
That
this
would
is
be
when you
registered
total-
voters.
yeah, when
Mhm.
Dan and Jim
Yeah.
ran
Seemed
4
like
years
not very
ago,
many.
there was 5,700 registered voters.
I was thinking over 5,000 in my head.
When
I
I
know how many.
ran 2 years ago, there were 4,200, and this year there was 3,200.
Right.
So
Wow.
from 5,700 to 3,200
So
in
like
4 years.
almost half
Mhm.
Right.
registered voters.
Boy, that's
Registered
a,
voters.
That's a very
That's a
clear
big drop.
statistic, isn't
And
it?
most of those registered voters aren't here right now.
Right.
Right.
oh
I
no,
mean, the mail-in ballots that happened in this election were the highest it's ever been. Now, 90% of our voters turned out.
Well, my
But-
husband votes mail-in, and we live
I
on
do
that, but
too.
he's just not here, that's why.
Yeah, but I
But it
mean,
just depends.
the mail-in votes, the preliminary voting was more than half of the election results.
Oh, by far.
Yeah, so
I
there,
mean, I think at one point it was 2,500, and that was the Thursday before the election.
yeah, but I'm talking about just in our town,
Yeah,
just in our town
yeah, that's what I mean.
election, yeah.
It was like 2,500 out of the 30.
So while we have the registered voters, they're not here.
Mhm.
They're not physically here right now.
Right.
So if we can find 3 or 4 people to at least come and ask questions before they say they don't want to be involved in something like that, at least we get a few
you
people
get
in the room,
somebody,
and we can
Right.
educate.
Yeah.
So
Just the timing is
who do?
garbage.
My biggest question is, who do I send them to? At this point, is it you, Becky?
I mean, I guess.
Okay, all right, good. I think it's yeah, they might
Yeah.
email.
I mean,
you.
I am gonna be with Jesse. I just think he did such a great job
Yeah.
He did. And I
organizing it, and I hate to see it just go away.
I
Yeah.
can help
Right.
you if you want to, because I know how the whole Friends works, and we're up and running with Lovers
Yeah.
Key, and I've been on, I'm on Friends of the Arts, and I'm on a few of them.
I'm happy to
So-
transition it. Like, I'm happy to get it rolling and
Okay.
do all those things as long as I know there's a
Yeah.
end in sight.
There.
Yeah, I mean, there was just so
Good.
much work that
Thank
was
you.
done, you hate to see it fall apart.
I'm just gonna be like,
I have a short
Appreciate
list, so
you.
hopefully I can get them
It's like
in.
a foster child.
right. I didn't send my kids to
And
school. I
there's
became a
swimmers.
parent rep for the PTC 4 years ago after COVID. I'm still there. Like, I don't want this. I don't want this anymore. But there's nobody to take over. I don't like being in charge.
Okay.
It's not my thing.
Ed, did you have
I
any?
have nothing to add to that conversation. I'm gonna lean in to step back.
Okay.
Oh, I never
How
should have
about
said
you,
that.
Barbara? Okay. All right, well then let's move on to setting the next meeting. We've got a couple things that we wanted to put on the agenda. And
Which.
are
the-
we going to meet in December or
I
are we
think we
going to
should.
The
January?
3rd is the 18th of December.
18th
The
at
3rd
noon,
Wednesday.
December 18th, it's the week before, Christmas.
Does that work?
That works for
We
me.
need to meet in
That
December.
works for me.
Can we,
I think we should with all this, the
Yep,
pool
I agree.
stuff and all that. I
Mhm.
think we definitely should.
And
on
you
the
guys-
18th?
And
I
you-
think there's several
And
things
you
that
like
suggested.
noon, right? You
Noon.
like a noon starting time?
I don't care.
Is that
Okay.
correct? Okay, no, I'm fine with it.
And I will give you fair notice that, on the 18th, I will be receiving a new hip.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
So you're gonna be
Christmas.
on
So are
The
you
week
saying you're not
before
gonna be here?
Christmas.
You're not coming then?
So I could do it from the
The operating room?
operating room.
Yeah, we
Yep.
can do Zoom.
So, anyway, I will miss that particular
I
meeting,
guess
but,
that's an excused absence.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so.
Anybody else that has a conflict that we know of now? I just wanna make sure we have we'll have a quorum.
Me too.
Yeah, you too, of course.
December 18th? Okay,
If some changes, let me know, cause I know some
okay,
people make travel plans.
and,
You're hitting into Christmas.
That's not the reason.
Yeah, that's what
Think-
I'm saying. is
Yes.
think of me that day,
We
please.
certainly
We
will.
will.
Yeah, and
You
if,
will.
if,
Okay,
cause I am the person that travels.
Okay, I didn't
If-
wanna, I wanna.
No,
name names.
I'm okay with that. That should be known.
is
you
that
know.
okay? December 18th?
Absolutely, but
Okay,
if anybody can't and we end up eliminating a quorum,
Then
the
you
sooner
gotta
you
know.
can tell Jeff or whoever needs to know.
yeah,
That is really helpful, so
okay.
I would appreciate that.
Well, and it would be helpful to make sure that we've got all of the, announcement about the upcoming meeting at least a week in advance, cause this was only 2 days' notice.
You know, I should have sent it out to the existing members. I didn't know if everyone was gonna be on.
Right.
Because they just re-voted on it on
Ah,
Monday.
Right,
So, sorry, yeah,
yeah.
We need 4 of us for a quorum, correct?
4 in person, yeah.
Yeah, for in person.
In person. So,
So
we
for the
probably
agenda
won't have
items-
that new person
Yeah,
either, so,
Right.
the open spot.
Well, I'll be here for sure,
I'll be here.
so,
I'll be here.
I'll
so
be-
that's fine.
I will be
Oh, I'm
here.
not on it though, I don't count.
Okay.
for
I mean, you
quorum.
count.
So we'll probably.
Well, I don't
We'll be
count.
here.
Right.
You don't. Yeah, no.
I just have 2 quick things before we end. I just wanted to mention, we are doing New Year's fireworks. That was
Right.
voted on by the council, so that'll be happening. They are gonna be off a barge again, which is, raises the cost 2 times, but it's also a lot easier for us. We don't have to close the beach, down, but, so we're gonna do that, and I thought there was one more, but I don't. Must not have been, just the fireworks. So, that'll be happening.
Good.
Cool.
Good. Okay,
Nice.
I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So
I-
moved.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion by Barbara and second by Becky, and all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are